Today we have joined to discuss about the new thing that has happened in the market. There's a new boy on the block. So Deepseek. So unless you have been living in a cave, if you don't know, $1 trillion was wiped out in US market. And what happened? Why $1 billion was wiped out from the market? Because we had a new uh, AI op- or AI model from from Deepseek, a company in US in China, and they, why the market was going up for recently. The market was going up. There was anticipation that there are huge innovations are happening in artificial intelligence, and the common wisdom was that huge investment is required. You'll need lot of chips, NVIDIA chips, to really train your AI models to generate AI models so that you can have great productivity and great revenue from the companies. And suddenly there was a new AI model from a company in China, and the but what like they there's the interesting thing is it was developed very cheaply. Somebody said like it was a Sputnik movement. If you don't know what is Sputnik movement, when the Cold War was going on between USA and Russia or Soviet Union, everybody thought USA is very advanced in rocket and space technology. And then Russia sent first satellite in the orbit called Sputnik. And that was shocking to a lot of people in America that Russian space program is so advanced. And that led to further investment by US government into space industry, and finally they were able to land a man on the moon. Some people think that was fake, that was a movie from famous director, but I don't believe in the conspiracy theories. So some interesting numbers like from deep DeepSeek is uh, it trained its model in 2 months, and it costed $5.6 million. It used 2000 NVIDIA chips. General convention is that you need 16,000 chips to train your model, uh, get, get it ready to push it to the market. And also, it takes somewhere 100 to $1 billion to train your model. So we'll go a little bit into more technical details. Actually, that was very interesting. First time when DeepSeek was announced, a lot of people didn't believe it. They thought, okay, another, fake news. Uh, Somebody is trying to, you know, show their capabilities beyond what is possible. Some people thought that maybe some Chinese company has created some fake user interface and they are using some AI model behind the scene. Then DeepSeek published its model. They made it open source, and also they initially they released V3 model, and when they released their R version model, which is based on reasoning, that is the time people sat down and took notice, and they were very impressed. We'll go into some technical details, little bit what they did. A lot of technical details are coming out. How you trained your model, uh, how there's a lot of excitement being open source. So, San, here you want to come in and say something. What are your thoughts? Deep.
So, from my perspective, is that um, as you were kind of highlighting, the cost is high. I mean, and not necessarily just AI perspective. I think in many Western countries right now, the cost of innovation is pretty high, and China is leading the way in many ways in a lot of innovations, and there's a lot of innovations coming from other countries like India as well. But this is one example. I think we took it for granted that the AI innovation um, is happening here and leading everybody else. And the cost is high, yes, and so we have to live with it. And this company, Deepseek, kind of proved us wrong in some ways that what, there's a cheaper way of doing it. Yes, of course, there's still a lot of things we have to sort out, but it puts a little pressure on our companies here in the US in terms of innovation to see, we can't just dominate that easily. We can't be like, asking for a boatload of money and keep going. But we have to now do better in terms of cost and how to reduce cost and so on. But yeah, to me, it's like, in one way, it's not shocker because a lot of innovations have been coming from China. They've been investing a lot in the AI world. But yes, of course, it takes everyone by surprise to a certain degree.
So, we'll go into details a little bit later.
Yeah.
It is coming from a hedge fund company, a private investor. You know? Uh, One son said like a thing about price difference. I think that's what we have to think about it. Price difference. Like in India, like they are able to build satellites, rocket very cheaply because manpower is cheap. Means the salary difference is very huge, and that's why they are able to produce. I should have come up with saved some number. So that's way that uh, the price difference is very less. First, I think when we talk about prices, maybe we'll talk about open source and some other factors later. Let's talk some technical terms before technical terms. So that's I came to know this inference keyword. What inference means, generally, inference is how you train your model. And generally, the idea was like you train you inference, you require a large number of NVIDIA chips to train your model. We'll come to a little bit later that how DeepSeek got around this trick. And one thing was like a lot of people thought, oh, NVIDIA is over. So basically, and there's still a lot of hope for NVIDIA if you own NVIDIA stocks. And first thing I would have put like a disclaimer that I am not a financial expert. So we are talking all this for fun. So still, I think NVIDIA is getting 40% revenue for inference, and there is a lot of talk like when DeepSeek will start publishing its APIs to the whole world, it will need lot more computing power to make to commercialize its product. Right now, I tried it; it looks very good. If you are looking into some logical, uh, mathematical or computer programming problems. So what happened? Like I think the one interesting thing was like OpenAI was trying to do everything. They had a very huge model, and they were trying to do all the tasks. They were trying to be good in writing essays, or the mathematical problems, logical problems, creative problems. And what DeepSeek did is like it went for small model. Small model. That's what small model they came like. Uh, Means when you can train your small model on properly, it can match or exceed the performance of much bigger models. I think one thing people are looking forward with the DeepSeek open source code available, that a lot of small specialized models will be out there. And so now entry. the bar of entry is less. It's still $1 million, but some companies, institutions who have those kind of money, they can get into artificial intelligence. It's open source. You can train yourself. You can use this code. So one thing they did is reinforcement learning. They use reinforcement learning. So that's what, like, compressing big AI models down into smaller one makes them cheaper to run without losing much of the performance. And what is the reinforcement learning is when your program is running, it does something right, you give it a reward. That's how this artificial intelligence model becomes mature, more correct over the time. And it's like requires less computational power, less data, and less data and less time to become mature. Anybody wants to come here at this point? uh, Hassan, so far. Be-
I'll allow, either Aditya or Karan to kind of chime in. You know,
sure.
they
One
might be
more
better
technical before
expert than
come.
I am in terms of AI,
One more technical term I come came to know: mixture of experts. What they figured out, like, one more thing they did, like, they distribute data into, you know different models, or what you call different databases or domain you can mentally think of. And other AI models have done, but it was very time consuming. And they figured, they have come up with some kind of uh, logic which makes very easy to, like, to navigate from one domain to another domain. That's called mixture of experts. So one funny thing is, like, DeepSeek versus ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is accusing of DeepSeek that it used their OpenAI to train their model. So that is called distillation. Basically, you use existing OpenAI, existing AI model to train your model. You use its input, output, and you compare it. And that was funny. A lot of people are making fun of ChatGPT. Like Asan, what ChatGPT did is, like, they took data all over from the internet, from technical blogs, from all YouTube videos. And since ChatGPT, I can tell you personally, since ChatGPT has come, all the views have gone down, including my channel, technical channel. Nobody is going for looking for any tutorial on YouTube anymore. All technical blogs, traffic, all YouTube tutorials. Nobody, I mean, there's no need anymore with ChatGPT. You can learn any new technology like this, right? Means just set up some tool and tell ChatGPT how I get started. I have not used Google Gemini. It seems that Google Gemini is great on teaching tutorials. Kind of, you want to learn some new skill set, means here step by step guide to train you. So like, now they so a lot of people, a lot of technical blog writers or YouTube technical channels, they are making fun of ChatGPT, that you stole others' information without paying. Why you are crying now? So, Aditya Karan, like, you tell me, since ChatGPT came, have you gone looked for any YouTube tutorial, any technical blog since ChatGPT has come, Karan or
Yeah,
Aditya?
I think for me, I do other stuff except for like, just doing like sometimes migrating in AWS and all that stuff, which I don't know. And then I do ChatGPT or
Uh-huh.
use. They have actually blocked ChatGPT on my machine, but then I use my personal one. Then, yeah, yeah, ChatGPT is so good in that sense that, okay, you do this, do that. Like, how do you download a file from AWS? Simple as that. I won't go to YouTube or even Google it. If I really need information, I'll just say, how do I download it? Give me an example. It'll give me a right example of how I download files from AWS S3. And same, rather than going through Google and click on Stack Exchange something, it will also give you, but I think it won't give you if you have any issues. You cannot follow up. You cannot like, okay, you know what? I did not like it. Can you give me another example? Like it'll give you.
You cannot ask the video,
Yes,
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
Ditya, have
agree
you
with
looked
Karan.
for, since ChatGPT came, have you looked for Google or seen any YouTube tutorial?
So
I agree with Karan that we can follow up with ChatGPT. We can ask follow-up questions to ChatGPT, and we can get the answer, accurate answer from ChatGPT rather than Google and YouTube. So this is one benefit. And now these days I am also using more ChatGPT than Google and YouTube.
right, I would
Okay.
agree with all of you guys is that, oftentimes I'm looking for if I'm looking for through YouTube or, Google it, um, since you might get a lot of hello world type of solutions, right? And which I don't necessarily want, so, but in Chat GPT is, I can be more specific that, okay, or I can be in as detailed as possible in my request that I want this to follow this pattern to give me, you know, this kind of uh, pattern X versus pattern Y. Give me examples. Give me uh, uh, add some unit tests around it. All this stuff I can add in order to create a very catered solution to what I'm looking for. As opposed to something going through several different videos and blogs to figure out, okay, what really matters for me. So that way is definitely very helpful. You know, one thing I would agree with, similar to what Karan was saying, that ChatGPT is not always accessible through a lot of regulated industry. In our organization, we'd have an enterprise ChatGPT. Obviously, we pay, company pays for it, but it's like it's part of the reason we're in the regulated industry. Not we don't want all data to flow into the the internet, to whatever people are looking for in some ways. But yes, ChatGPT makes life a lot easier.
Did you guys make account in DeepSeek?
Deepseek. Probably, I think I used Google account and then it connected me through that. I think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I use Google account to that. For both case, I use Google account. I didn't, both ChatGPT. I haven't played a lot around it with
Uh,
DeepSeek, but I will probably do some experiment with some of the stuff I did recently.
And
so
nowadays, even Copilot is also like they discontinued that, at least in my organ. Like I am working in government, I think that's what they're doing.
Mm,
They unless you have to ask for permission because I think it's
right,
more sensitive. They think it's more sensitive data.
right.
So, yeah, so Copilot it was open because ChatGPT was closed, and I was using Copilot, and then Copilot they figured out that okay, Copilot also I cannot do it. Yeah, I
Mm,
think you have to request for it, and then probably they'll. So that's the thing which probably will people who are more careful about their data would be like okay because you can upload files, you can do a lot of things which especially with DeepSeek I think they'll be more careful, right? Like how are they going to use
hmm,
that data, especially if
yes.
it's secretive, like more modernized
right,
developing something, or I'm working in a federal government, so like some some defense thing is data is there. We are not going, no, they people do not want to share that, so
right.
that's understandable. Yeah.
That's a very good point. Karan brought it. Like, if you are using a website like this, be aware that data is getting stored in somewhere in China, But if you are downloaded software and running on your own server where you have control, then you should be fine.
Right.
I
Yeah, and
think
there are
that way.
like
Mhm.
there are other specialized, like ChatGPT is a little bit general purpose, but there's also like some other ones that are kind of for specialized purposes. Even those are also restricted in many companies. It's like for us it's ChatGPT because we got an enterprise license. You know, that's why it's enabled. So something like DeepSeek and others, I don't think it's going to have any access in our. I haven't tried from work, but I don't think
Mm.
we're gonna have access to something like DeepSeek.
So one thing again that scares me about these AI models. Chat GPT, okay, I can generate the thumbnails and it doesn't generate that great thumbnails,
Hmm.
but since it gives me idea and personally I think my thumbnails quality has gone up since I started using Chat GPT. Let me show you guys so you can see my thumbnails. Can you guys
Hmm.
see?
Yep.
Uh, me- uh,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
so basically, means the quality, in my opinion, this is how I used to make before, and this is how I making. I get a idea from uh, Chat GPT. Okay, give me idea, and then I make my own self. So getting idea is difficult. Then you can get stuff from here, there, and make one
But
thumbnail.
do you use a software to make like
PowerPoint, PowerPoint,
thumbnail?
PowerPoint. mostly
PowerPoint.
people, mostly people use like Adobe and Photoshop.
Mhm.
I'm shocked with PowerPoint. It does a great job. I mean,
Okay. Mhm.
so in DeepSeek, it cannot make thumbnail right now.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
And
I even like Chat GPT. One of the thing I experimented with one time. I'm very visual individual, and sometimes there are like documents with a lot of pages of procedures. I tried to create like, okay, can you create a BPMN type of diagram by identifying roles and the steps to follow. It couldn't do it, but it gave like, okay, these are the things we narrated. It said, but you can have a Lucid plugin, for Chat GPT that can help you with the BPMN solution. Uh, but it didn't work also. But the thing is that yes, there are some limitations always, but we can try. There are like other specialized GPTs that are coming, which are for those kind of specific purposes. Some different companies are also releasing those.
Yeah. Uh, Talking about limitations, because I think
DeepSeek.
another one I noticed was that you cannot input through your voice. For example, in ChatGPT is you can talk in even your local language back in India. Like you can talk in Hindi, you can talk in Punjabi, or you can talk in anything, and it'll return. But there is no voice control right now in DeepSeek, for example, right now.
Mm.
Like then I gave my second test. One thing I use it, I use ChatGPT to, as I said, is generate the idea for images, for thumbnails for my videos, and it does a great job of preparing a sample. Means I can prepare the real one. Second thing, today I ChatGPT shocked me. Another job has been eliminated. The feedback it gives you about your resume, means if you are trying to modify your resume, oh my god, I was shocked. It does a professional job and it can write the resume also for you. It can generate the document for you. And I remember, like, I don't think 1 year back it was possible. 1 year back I was trying to help my friend to generate resume. there was only limited thing it could do. It could generate a cover letter based on the job description, gives you suggestion. Now it's writing your resume. So another job is gone. There were time I have paid to professional resume writers to write my resume. And another job, I think one job, graphic designer is eliminated. A professional resume the writer job is eliminated. And the third check I did about the essay. I wrote some guidelines here, and I asked DeepSeek to write the essay, and ChatGPT also write the essay. So, son, this is interesting. Lot of their stuff is similar, so they are picking up some weird. they, there are differences, but there are a lot of similarities. Like the sense of pilgrimage, embracing the journey, not just the destination. And here, the sense of pilgrimage, embracing the journey over the destination. A lot of stuff is similar. So they are picking up some smart stuff from somewhere common source, you know, which makes sense, kind of makes. But I found ChatGPT essay was better. That's what I felt. It was not bad, but I felt that the essay I prepared a outline and asked ChatGPT and DeepSeek to write the essay. And that's what a lot of people are saying. DeepSeek is not great for the creativity. And another test I did, DeepSeek, I asked DeepSeek to tell me why people are more excited about DeepSeek open source model as compared to Meta's Facebook open source model. Facebook also have done open source model. And you can guys give me, see, it wrote some very, you know, uh, like generic stuff. Whereas, OpenAI, OpenAI, ChatGPT, it wrote more informative, informative article that DeepSeek is relatively new in AI space, and like it's saying metadata open source, LLM is not fully open source because they come with licensing restrictions. And then it asked me, shall do you want me to do some benchmark testing, benchmark comparisons? And it found out some benchmark comparisons also, that DeepSeek model achieved a 90% 8% accuracy on this benchmark, whereas Meta's was this one. So you guys can see, means essay writing or writing some articles. I felt ChatGPT is pretty advanced, and I'm using ChatGPT 4.0 model. And whereas the DeepSeek was very, very like a template general. They couldn't tell them why people are more excited about themselves, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And Asan, me and Karan and myself, we were joking. It may not be a bad thing, you know. DeepSeek is better in this way that it solves computational problems, computer logical problems very efficiently, and it's not good at creativity writing these essays. So this is good. That means it was encouraging students to do cheating. It will stop the cheating. Or essay writing, doing their homeworks. Means they can do math problems, but all those essay writing, all more analytics, that will stop.
Yeah, I
So,
think you still have to be careful in any of these. Is like few things, like, there's always some inherent bias depending on the information the data is using in the
mm,
background. And there's also like, if you ask some question, same thing repeatedly,
mhm,
one after another, you may get slightly different answers, right? So it's
different
not
answer.
exactly the same, right? So it's like there's always you know and I know, like, even in the technical world, like, a lot of engineers are now relying quite heavily on ChatGPT to come up with snippets of code. But when I experimented, it's all like, what am I asking that the answers or the solution it gets, it depends a lot on what I'm asking, right? So it's like, so sometimes um, you have to be careful. If you take the first answer it gives and like, oh, and you run with it, that may not be the right answer for you. So that's what I think. It's like, it's language model. It's like, and it doesn't always have, as I think Aditya was saying, it doesn't have your necessarily get the voice command always, because people, when you ask, there's a certain, based on an expression tone, you're asking different questions. When you type out a question, you don't always have that same level of expression. So that's why the answers vary. Whenever you ask same question repeatedly, um, so it's kind of like gets tricky. So you always have to kind of cross check, not just run with what it provides you, and then maybe review and kind of move forward.
So let me show you example. It's pretty fast. I'm giving an example, asking it to write a Excel macro, which reads from multiple sheets and based on the business rules, and it creates a new sheet. So let me submit it. Yeah, pretty fast. Means if they can maintain this kind of performance, awesome.
Right. So as it's bringing up, one of the concrete example I will give you is, I didn't try with Deepseek. I mainly tried with ChatGPT and Gemini, in fact, because I have I do some personal stuff every now and then. And I've never been an Angular coder, but I had template that I bought that I kind of incorporated with API. So I wanted to create a reusable service. I gave a questions like, okay, can you create a reusable configuration service that builds a configuration from this snippet of JSON code, JSON script, that I want to use it for more than one application. So it did it fairly decent, but there were some things that, okay, that I'm like, I didn't like the way, can you make it more generic? Can you make it so that I can apply inversion of control and run it as a singleton pattern? Then the solution became much better when I tried to apply additional criteria to my solution. I saw the solution becoming better compared to the original solution it provided.
Asan, when you were saying that the code may not be right once I asked it for a code, I gave it a problem, a requirement, and it gave me the code. I asked it to give me the unit test also, and unit test found a bug in the code.
Right. It did for me too. Like, it found some bugs here and there that my compiler was complaining.
So it's a pretty impressive overall. Pretty impressive. Performance was, I was very impressed with the performance. So one interesting thing is, I think it seems we learned that Facebook Meta is the only company who has given its code for AI model code for open source. So China, I think they are doing great job because China, they have open source advantage. So their companies, all their AI projects are a lot of them are open source, and a lot of people in America are happy that this model they are very a lot of people are excited because that they give their source code open source, so, and you are learning a lot of new techniques. One thing I am thinking, Asan, they open source, they have to give this software as a open source. First, nobody was going to until they made it open source, nobody believed it. So since nobody is going to believe it, nobody was going to use it. So they have to make it open source. And so there's a debate going on, so whether AI model should be open source or not. One thing was like USA tried to restrict NVIDIA chips also to China. They were not allowed to use some high performance chips. And I think that that's a great thing. That's a innovation they did, is like they were able to do it with less powerful chips. And as their the founder of the company that said like first they bought chips. It was like they had money, they bought the piano, and then they have a people who could play the piano, and that's how they came up with the software. And so another thing, the people who proponents of open source, they are saying that recently at a university that students were able to create train model, generate AI model, and it was comparable to open this chat gpt, because they were using open source software from China, from Alibaba. That company, they have kept their model open source. So so that's what a lot of people saying, that if American companies not going to make their projects open source, people are going to use projects from China, and that puts China in an advantage. One more thing is happening is geopolitics. There's billion of dollars which are waiting, especially from the Gulf countries, and they are waiting to find out who's the winner in AI race, and they are going to get billions of dollars in investment. So that's another geopolitics is happening. So whoever can show their muscles in this artificial intelligence race is not only his power is going to increase. The people, if you are using their open source code, means their power will, their capabilities are going to increase. And so I'll open up to other members. But you have any thought? Open source. A lot of people are excited that it's open source now. You don't have to be billionaire to start in, working on AI projects. Means it's open source. You can take the code, and any college which has good financial background, they can start the projects.
Yeah, I would agree. In some ways, open source or not, everyone's looking for something lower cost, right? Only a few, handful of big companies have the money to kind of, invest a ton of money, millions of dollars in AI initiative. And in some cases, companies find the hard way that they start initiative, AI project, and then it's didn't really solve a whole lot, but they ended up spending a lot of money. Um, so of course, if something is lower cost, makes it a little bit easier for innovation for smaller companies, startups, and so on to kind of try to come up with a solution that is uh, doesn't cost them a lot of money. You know, but of course, there's still that apprehension, right? Things coming from China. We've been kind of in this debate for the last few years. Anything coming out of China is, you know, problematic. So it's like there's that apprehension a little bit there, but in general, people needs lower cost um, product like this so that they can do innovation. Smaller companies can do innovation. Smaller individuals can do innovation. Not only just big companies with boatload of money can do something.
Cool. So like that's another thing is like uh, Jevon Paradox. This is very interesting. When its resource is rendered efficiently, we use more of it. So here, like transistors used to be so expensive. As it became cheap, we are spending more money. So a lot of time technology comes and we think jobs gonna reduce. Like in banking, when machine came, that teller machine came, people thought, oh, there will be no jobs. but it happened otherwise. Now it was economical to open more branches, so a lot more branches were opened with more people. So sometimes it's other way. It more things are created. So maybe that's what artificial intelligence coming becoming more cheap. The entry bar was so high, so like no entry bar is low, and maybe it's a good thing. What you guys think? Like being it's the barrier is low. Is it a good thing or artificial intelligence? There could be AI agents, more AI models.
I feel scared with
Scary.
AI, like Karan has said, being a developer.
Yeah. I think,
If more AI, more,
no, go ahead, Aditya. Sorry, finish up your thought.
yeah, like if more advanced AI will come in the near future, then definitely, and there will be less job for average developers. So that is kind of scary.
Actually, that will bring me to main discussion, uh, which is I title my if you, I don't know you guys saw my thumbnail. We're gonna discuss ultimately whether computer science is needed or not. Last time discussed, but we'll have an informed discussion once we go through these slides. So yes, let me go to the next slide. So another question open up like, okay, we have DeepSeek now, and do we need all these big data centers, all these NVIDIA or ChatGPT, Microsoft? They have invested in such big data centers. Do we need them? So answer is most of people saying it's good to have, because still we are figuring out artificial intelligence. So definitely people who have invested in big data centers, $1 billion, it's not a bad thing. They still have advantage. Means we have huge computing power. The companies who have huge computing powers, I mean, it's not a bad thing. But at the same time, I've been thinking. So like camera technology. Right now, camera technology is means has gone so advanced. So if you take a $600 camera and you take $10,000 camera, there's not much difference in quality anymore. There used to be huge difference in quality. So that is one possibility, right, Asan? Means they have done it so cheaply, and you have created this massive computational powerhouse. Could be waste, you know what I mean? Like a ten
Yeah.
thousand dollar camera, like no, $10,000 camera, like 500 $600 camera, you can get the same quality. Yeah, or like your iPhone is good enough. You may not, you don't need camera anymore.
Yeah, I think, yeah, to your point, yeah, the camera has gotten better. Plus, every phone or phone apps, the camera apps, they're using some sort of AI to kind of, clean up the bad pictures, to make it better in some ways, almost real time. So that's there. But I think even data center is not just used for AI only, it's for
Yeah.
every lot of things, right? We're storing a lot of data, we're storing a lot of compute, we need a lot of computing power. Hopefully, a lot of cloud providers, their cost will go down, and they can pass that lower cost to the consumers. Um, that may not happen unless there's another competition comes in and say, hey, you know what, we have a new cloud hosting service with very low cost data centers. But data centers still needed. I think it's used for many different purposes, and I think many more and more companies are kind of using the cloud-based data centers right now. Some are doing multi-cloud also, and not just single cloud, relying on one cloud. But yes, I think sometimes it will take a little time to offset. This, the wave comes in, there's a huge excitement, a lot of people jump over, and then it takes kind of a little time to kind of settle down that, okay, that, the real users of the consumers kind of still stick around.
Very true. So the founder, Liang Wenfeng, he he manages hedge fund. He's a math geek. So as a student, he wrote AI algorithms to pick up stocks. And a lot of traders, they do high frequency trading. So he does medium frequency trading. High frequency trading, you want to have a millisecond advantage to uh, select buy the stock so that you have advantage. He does medium frequency trading. He holds for a long time. So I think I'm going to read a Jim Simons book. He's a very big fan of Jim Simons book, who was another hedge fund, and they use mathematics to find out best stocks. And Jim Simons was very good in finding out the good stocks. Eh, they are into quantitative trading, and that's the shocking part is that he this hedge fund manager, he came out with this AI model, efficient AI model, which has stormed the world. It has come from a hedge fund, a math geek. He is very he calls himself more engineer than trader, and generally he make decisions by applying formula and calculations. And he is very shocked right now to see how popular the Deepseek has become. Deepseek. So this brings to our main question to know: does computer science degree matter in the future with DeepSeek, artificial intelligence? First, I will say my own thoughts. I think after going through Liang Wenfeng profile, he is a mathematic genius. So it took a mathematic genius to build this kind of model. So there are people who rightly said, especially in America, from America perspective, you don't need math to be a computer programmer. And a lot of us, I think none of us on this channel agree, right? That you need to know math. And all of us are engineers. We have learned advanced math. But and maybe all of us, we may not have applied our advanced math, our advanced math to our jobs. Uh, So, means like if I see that's what Aditya said is scary. Artificial intelligence is scary. There may not be job for average, but I see more need of computer degrees in the future. Because why I'm saying computer degrees required? Why I'm asking this question? NVIDIA CEO, he made this controversial statement that you don't need a college degree anymore. I don't agree with his assessment. I think with artificial intelligence, code coming, you need more skills. You need to understand the code. Ultimately, you are going to take the ownership. Means you have to find the security bugs. You have to make sure the code is working. It may be using like lot of complex algorithm. It may be using, you know, a very complex pattern, but ultimately the ownership, as the things stand now and in the future, ownership, somebody has to take the ownership. It means you cannot produce a bug in production and cost million of dollars of your company and say, oh, let's blame artificial intelligence. So head's gonna roll, right? If something goes wrong, the head's gonna roll. There will be always human beings. And I see in the future, and a lot of people, not only they may be doing programming, they may be building their artificial intelligence models, they may be training the models, they will be working on proprietary AI models. At the same time, they will be building these commercial applications. So I see people doing a lot more complex, and you would need computer degree in the future with artificial intelligence more. Son, what are your thought? Like, what do you think? Since you see ChatGPT doing so much coding,
Mm.
do we need computer engineering in the future?
Well, I think there is definitely still a need. I think the people who are coming up with, completely with no degrees, or, degrees that we may not consider, that who might bring out some of this innovation, are still somewhat of an exception, right? And people, in the sense, not everyone's coming up with new innovative product every day, right? So there are a few, but for the rest of us, there's still
Sorry,
some.
son, I missed your point. What did you say? The
I said,
point?
like, that the people who come up with some innovative products who didn't have a computer science degree
Hmm.
are still not necessarily a lot of people, thousands of people who are doing that every day, right? But there are
Son, like
people like us.
before you conclude, like we have seen in right, we have seen a lot of people in IT industry. The like what happened, IT industry grew up like
Mhm.
unproportionally, right?
Right,
And we have seen a lot of people in IT department who should not be in the IT department, right?
right. To me, it's like a lot of, once again, I think, as you said, like, the IT department grew with many, and that doesn't mean everyone had a computer science degree.
Degree.
But also, at the same time, nowadays, if you see the colleges, they have it has become a big business. It's not just computer science like the old days. It's like they have very specialized degrees. You have a data science degree versus, information technology degree versus something else, and so many different categories. I think that kind of muddies the water a little bit, I think, in some ways, because it has become a business to me. But yes, I would agree. There's a lot of people in the industry who probably shouldn't be there, but at the same time, um, anyone can truly come up with an innovation, but doesn't mean it happens all the time. You know?
Son, I felt based on my programmer that Microsoft always wanted programming to programming job given to business analysts. Means I feel there has been a substantiative effort on I part that you know business analyst in charge of the code. You have a solution where people could drag drop, no coding solutions. Basically, uh, I don't feel ChatGPT is fitting in anymore in that scenario.
Uh, do I see that? I think lower code based solution is here to stay. I think we don't necessarily have to write a ton of code, especially that has been done over and over again, something that has been repeated so many times. Um, but things like ChatGPT to me is also not the right answer, because if you don't have the foundation, the background, you're not asking the right question.
Asking.
You get what you ask. It's gonna, it's still, and so that's where I think it comes in, that you still need people who can ask the right question, but there's still a need from a business standpoint. You have to do things faster, quicker, and better. It can't take 6 months. It has to be half the time, things like that. You have to be able to deliver something very quickly, even in a regulated industry, which takes time, but there is a need. So if as developer engineer takes a long time to build, to me, it's becoming a problem at this stage. It has to be quicker.
So, son, like I agree with you that the current the way that things are being taught need to be looked upon. Uh, means our is our current education system preparing programmers of tomorrow? Uh, n- I don't think so. Definitely, that need a tweaking. But
Right.
that's what, like, if we are looking for artificial intelligence as a future, and the next big thing is the agents, and still, but I think I see now you really need people who know what they are doing. Means who know computer science, basic engineering, means as I said, ultimately, somebody has to take the ownership. Business analysts are not going to take ownership of security, and oh, there was a security bug. The thing didn't work out. There was a bug, and okay, we can fix the responsibility on agent. Okay, that agent was buggy. It didn't do its job.
Ah, I would like to interject a little bit. I think I was
Sure.
watching a video on YouTube, in like a person was asking UGA people how is the recruiting going. So the things have changed how they do the recruiting now, or the people who are at least preparing to be recruited in companies like McKinsey or any place. It's more, or even any tech firm, is that they have to be more innovative. Like they have to have their own software, own business idea, own everything. Rather than earlier on, what used to happen was like you have a degree from Georgia Tech, and yes, and you have some experience, you do some internship, and then you find your path in life. Here now you have, they say now you have to have more the whole picture, just business side, development side, every aspect, so that you can get hired. So people have to be more rounded. Like for example, even if I always thought only tech and business is not my domain, and of course over the years I realized that it's business should be my domain, like part of business should be my domain, but I think this has been trained out. Now they are doing it earlier on because of Chat GPT. Like you don't need to be. You have to be almost know all kind of thing. So that's what I thought. Uh,
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the expectation have gone up, right?
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, and I would agree definitely with Karan is that, you know, we have a strong drive in the last few places I've been is that what problem are we trying to solve? What is the value proposition, right? It's not, yes, technically a lot of things can be done, but what are we really solving? Sometimes it's not a technical problem. Sometimes it's just a tweaking the business process, and it's but that's where somebody in the senior level technical folks, architects needs to be able to engage the business community better, understand the problem better, and solve for it. You still need technical. Obviously, engineers has to do it. I may not do the work. Somebody else might do the work, but I have to be the go-between. The try to understand what the business problem and also communicate with the engineers the right message so that we're not coming up with the wrong solution. Um, but but yeah, it's evolving. It's always evolving. I think I see there's a big need, quicker, faster, better stuff, better innovation. I did see like people misusing Chat GPT quite a bit as well, that coming up with solution that had to be revisited very quickly within, you know, not even a month of delivery. That kind of tells me that we're not asking the right questions, we're not using properly. So that to me is, we have to get better at.
right. And yeah, Hassan, to your point, I think what I feel is we have business analysts, we have developers, we have DevOps, all that stuff. I think it's gonna go to one person. One person is doing all of the because there's so much help available on the internet. so much chat GPT, so much everything is there. BA or slash DevOps slash developer should be, I feel like it'll in 5 years it'll be like just one job that you have to do that part, everything.
Yeah, and also in some industry, you know, it's very common also to buy off the shelf product sometimes as opposed to building. Um, but you still need to have the right people at having the right discussion, right? If
Right.
you're buying a product, not just satisfy the business need, but it just has a gaping security hole, that doesn't fit, right? So
Yeah.
in your business, so some of those things, to your point, you have to be able to partner with the business,
Right.
understand, and a lot of times you have to be a little bit more generalist to have the right conversation with the vendor,
Right.
uh, and before
Yeah.
a
I
product is onboarded.
I think developers have to evolve basically
Right,
to, yeah, that's to be in more in tune with the business rather than just be a coder, right? I mean, that's like, and not like just fulfill your Scrum things rather than be a part of product owners' meetings and everything. That becomes inbuilt, like it's a more towards that rather than just being like on the in your desk and
right,
fixing the QA bugs kind of thing.
right. Yeah, so like, as you come out of college, maybe yes, the initially your head's done coder, but very soon you have to start, you know, evolving,
Yeah.
not just a heads down coder anymore.
Son, one way it's very revolutionary, right? The one thing was like only this whatever the chat GPT has built, the one problem was training, right? If suppose Angular was popular, then React became popular. Before .NET Core, there was Core computing, cloud computing. Nothing means cloud computing came, and like Karan said very nicely, cloud computing is Chat GPT cannot teach you. You have to means you cannot go from web computing to cloud computing just by Chat GPT cannot train you. You have to learn that. So that way it's revolutionary, right? The training time has gone down, right? If something comes new, like instead of React, some other JavaScript framework comes, it will be the models will be able to train itself very fast, right?
Right. It's like, as I think Karan was mentioning earlier in the session, is that yes, it helps us. We don't necessarily look at YouTube videos anymore. A lot of them. But it's again what you're asking, right? The question. Somebody who's already been in this business for some time can learn new stuff by asking the right question, right?
Yes.
If I ask the question, give me um, steps to learn Angular coding. It's, as I said, he's going to give me a hello world type of examples, but as opposed to if I go in a little bit more detail in what I'm asking for, give me certain patterns. How do I implement this pattern versus that pattern? Then I get a different answer, completely different answer.
Very true. So geopolitics, that the one debate has become is like AI race is going on, and so a lot of people are wondering like USA put some lot of controls over NVIDIA chips, and so a lot of people are telling that USA government from USA experts that China may start building their own chips, it happened with India also. Once they refused supercomputers, India built its own supercomputers. And I think then they relaxed the supercomputer export restrictions. And I was just, before this, I was just researching Indian supercomputer param. And it seems that they have done some, they are mixed results. They are still using American foreign chips. They are using NVIDIA foreign chips for their supercomputers, even network they are using foreign, but software, like software, other stuff they had made in India. So that is a mixed story. So that's what like some people are saying like, is it okay to control the technology, have restrictions over the chips? Some people say that we didn't put enough restrictions, we put restrictions too late, and AI race is going on. And I little bit learn research Indian AI initiative also. So in India, like they have created a 125 billion AI investment fund, which is funding AI startups and developing its own AI infrastructure. So even India is, I think, after ChatGPT, a lot of people in India were shocked. Like for them also, it was a Sputnik movement that why India cannot develop its own model. India right now, if I learn, if I know, there's no restrictions on NVIDIA selling those chips to India. So India doesn't have that constraint which China had, and the thoughts they it's like awakening there also. Not this is not just a Sputnik movement for America. It's a Sputnik movement for a lot of people in India also. So, any thoughts before we conclude the discussion, San, Karan? So, definitely to summarize it, it's a revolutionary. I think it's a another big milestone in AI history. AI training time is less. You have it's open source. The bar of entry is low, and training they have made training it looks very easy, and it's a revolutionary. What do you
Yeah.
think, Hassan?
Yeah, I would agree. It's it is definitely here to stay, but I think we should also use it for the we should I always say we should always use the right technology for the right purpose. And it's not necessarily for everything, but yes, we can, use it to kind of, make other technologies, other areas or solution better in some ways, Um, so yeah, it's here to stay. We should embrace it, and we should probably not have a lot of restriction, but we should have enough regulation just so that it's not misused.
Yeah, that's why the interesting debate going on. A lot of people think America has put too many regulations on AI, and a lot of people wondering, no, AI in China, with authoritarian government and AI capabilities, what it means, we don't want to go into geopolitics. So,
Yeah.
Karan, you want to add any concluding thought?
No, I think everybody has to evolve. That's one thing. I mean, even if there is a difference between entry level and us, I think entry level have to people have to will have a little tougher time adjusting. I
Definitely.
think for us, I think it'd be how we get more involved in the business, and just
Productivity.
because we have the knowledge, it might be a little easier. But I think I'm just worried about the entry level people a little more.
Yes, yes. Especially the people who are coming to market.
Yeah,
Hopefully means they get trained with the right skills. They learn the right skills in the industry.
right.
Yeah, industry. Hopefully, industry will teach them. Like, I have a friend like from old company, and he's telling his son who was finishing his degree that do a master's in machine learning, artificial intelligence before going to market, and a lot of people taking data science also. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it may help, but again, getting into the first thing, getting in, because sometimes you feel like you need to know business, you need to know everything. That's what probably everybody will be scared about, especially when you're starting out. Like for us, it's also like mentally we are middle or slowly we are finishing our career, not maybe in 10 years or so.
Yes.
But for the young people, I think that's what they have to know business more. They have to know IT more, like more AI more. They have to know everything. So it becomes a little bit more pressure on them. So yeah,
Well, I think for us it's more easier, right? Before learning switching skill, moving from one skill to another skill was so hard, right?
yeah,
It looked like career ending. Okay, you whenever some new technology came, your technology became obsolete,
yeah,
and how much struggle we have done to get into the next technology,
yeah,
uh, so that means how easier it has made this.
yeah. If somebody tells me, write the whole website in React, I don't know anything about React, but I can write it.
Right. Very true. Very true.
Right. Yeah, at least the younger generation have some the tools available for to make the switch if needed, the change or adapt quicker. For us, it was a different generation, probably. We were a different generation. We probably didn't want to switch that quickly. We
Uh,
did not want to
and it was
evolve that
hard,
quick.
right? It was
Right,
hard.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Even
Not many companies were willing to give you opportunity, right? Okay.
right, right. But nowadays, I think the younger generation do have that mentality. It's not necessarily they get a degree and their job has to be tied to that. They
Yeah.
are willing to kind of evolve and kind of learn different things, I think.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, San. Good night.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for joining.
hosting it, Vikas.